Welcome back, Haymans. Mr. Eicher here. This is part 2 of a lesson about the midpoint and distance formulas. The distance formula states the distance between 2 points with coordinates x1, y1 and x2, y2 is given by this formula, d for distance, and it is the square root of the difference in the x coordinates squared plus the difference in the y coordinates squared. So where exactly does this formula come from? Well, let's say we have a coordinate plane. We have a line. We'll do this blue line through the coordinate plane. And the endpoints of that line will be x1, y1. And the other endpoint is x2, y2. Now, if we wanted to find the length of that line, or the distance from one point to the other point, we could form a right triangle and find the lengths of those sides. So the length of this side at the bottom would have an x coordinate x2 here and an x coordinate of x1 here. To find the distance between those coordinates, that side would be x2 minus x1. That's the side length of that triangle. And then we could do the same thing. This y coordinate is y1. So the length of this right triangle, the vertical side on the left, would be y1 minus y2. So to find this distance from one point to the next endpoint, we could use what's called the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So let's use this side as our a, this side as our b, and this side as our c. So we would have x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared equals the distance squared. And solving for d, we would square root both sides. And that would give us x2 minus x1 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. Now the order of subtraction doesn't particularly matter because if we're squaring it, it's going to make it positive regardless of the order we're subtracting them. So our formula for the distance formula is d equals the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. And we can use that to find some distances between pairs of points. I'll do 2 in this video, and you can do 6, 8, and 9 as to try this. So first, sometimes it's helpful to identify which coordinate is which, so I will label them. So we would have the distance between these 2 points would be the square root of -4 minus 1 squared plus 9 minus -3 squared. That would give us -5 squared plus 12 squared, which would be 25 plus 144. And 25 plus 144 is 169, which is a perfect square, and we get 13 units. So the distance from one point to the other on question number 5 is 13 units. Let's look at number 7 with fractions, finding the distance between these 2 points. Let's label our points. We would have the square root of -3 minus 5 squared plus negative 2/11 minus 9/11 squared. So we get negative 8 squared plus negative 11 over 11 squared. Negative 8 squared is positive 64. Negative 11 over 11 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. So we get the square root of 65. Just to make sure we can't simplify that radical, the square root of 65 would be 5 times 13. So there are no factors, so we can leave it as the square root of 65. And we do ask that you type it as SQRT on Schoology of 65 with parentheses. Like that. But square root of 65 is really close to the square root of 81, so that's approximately maybe 8.1. And you could try 6, 8, and 9 on your own. And I thought I would just get you started on number 10. Number 10 is to try this, but just to show you a picture, let's draw a picture of our circle that we have here. We have negative 6, negative 2 is an endpoint of the diameter. That's point A. And B is at negative 3, positive 4. So there's B. Find the following, find the center of the circle. So it looks like our circle is going to look something like this. Give it my best shot of a circle there. And the diameter passes through the center of the circle. So I don't want you to eyeball it, but I want you to find the center of the circle somewhere around here. Looks like a donut. And then the length of the diameter. So the length of the segment AB. Good luck on your Schoology assignment. Let your teacher know, me or one of your other teachers. Let us know if you have any questions from this lesson. I hope you have a great day. See you next time.